everyone, and welcome back to Concetina's Cucina. Today we are going to be making an easy quesadilla and an easy to make guacamole. So what you will be needing today are some good quality ingredients like olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic powder or fresh garlic. I'm going to be putting these little Mexican chili into the guacamole. The cumin, I'm going to be putting a pinch of that. If you want to season your chicken, if you're using chicken for your quesadilla, a little bit of chili powder and a little bit of that garlic, some peppers, onions, of course the avocados to make the guacamole, a lime, some tomatoes. I'm gonna try this out today. I found this at the grocery store. It's a Southwest mix. I'm gonna be making vegetarian quesadilla, so I'm gonna actually try that out today. A mixture maybe of cheddar or Monterey Jack type cheese. Of course, the fajita type shell, tortilla shells. What knife it is that you prefer to use. I'm going to be using the chef knife mostly, but of course, depending on your hand size, you might want to also use the smaller knife. And then I have a chopping board that I'm going to be using for the poultry because we don't want to cross-contaminate with our vegetables. Salmonella is present in the raw poultry, and of course we don't want to cross-contaminate. So this one will be my veggie one cutting board, and this will be my chicken one, and that will be washed in a bleach solution when we're ready to go. As always, please make sure that you have an adult present with you anytime you're in the kitchen baking or cooking. Now let's get ready. Let's wash our hands, get our hair up, get our apron on so that we can start the process. All right, so we're getting our hands ready, washed. I'm just gonna shut the water off. I don't wanna waste it. And we wanna get the wrist in there. And remember that we're washing them for 20 to 30 seconds. You can sing happy birthday twice, and that would work substantially. So our hands are all washed, apron on, and our hair is tied back. So I put my poultry, my raw frozen chicken breasts, in a cold bath. The reason I put them in a cold bath is so that way they can defrost safely. And what I mean by safely is the microorganisms aren't going to flourish in a cold bath. So that salmonella isn't going to start to grow basically out of control on it. Okay, so I'm gonna take my chicken breast, and the reason why I want to work with the chicken breast first is because I'm going to actually put it in the frying pan and start to saute it while I get my vegetables done. Okay, also we are going to work on the guacamole. So first of all, we want to have the claw method with our fingers, and the knife, you want to hold it just so in between the thumb and your forefinger like that, and slice it very carefully, about an inch thick, half an inch thick should be good. Try and get them equally sliced in width so that way they cook evenly. I have 4 chicken breasts today for about 5 quesadillas. Okay, so now we have our chicken cut, and just remembering that I am going to make some veggie ones that are separate with no meat, and then we're going to have the poultry ones for those who would like to eat it with chicken. So after this, we're going to make that guacamole because we need to let those flavors blend. Let's get this sauteing in a pan during the time that we're making everything, and I'm going to just pour about 1/4 cup of olive oil in there. I'm going to get it heated up, and I have it on pretty high right now just to get it heated. I'm gonna lower it once everything starts sizzling up. So I'm gonna put my chicken in there, just like that. And that's quite a bit of chicken, so depending on how much you eat, you could probably do the same amount with about 2 chicken breasts. this is quite a bit. So I'm just separating them because they were still a little frozen. They're just half thawed out right now, which is fine with me. Now I'm gonna add some salt to it. So I'm just sprinkling a little bit of salt. It ends up being probably about a half teaspoon to a teaspoon for this amount of chicken. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of pepper on top, just like that. I'm gonna put a little bit of chili powder just for a little bit of flavor. And you can decide if you want to or not put that chili powder. You don't have to. And then I'm gonna add some garlic powder. A little bit more flavor. And then I'm gonna give it a little toss, just so that the flavors mix in. And like I said, they're still a little bit frozen. So while this is cooking, I'm going to, like I said, I'm gonna let it sizzle up a bit, and I'm gonna reduce the temperature. While this is cooking, we're going to work on our guacamole now. So now, while we have our chicken sauteing, I've just turned it low. We're going to work on that guacamole because we want the flavors to blend in. So it's probably a good idea to get it done now. Half an hour, we'll be done with everything and ready to eat. So for your avocados, you want to make sure that it's just a little tender to the touch, making sure that it's ripe. We're going to cut it all the way around carefully, just like that. And we're going to open that up just like that. Okay, we're going to scoop it out with a spoon. And that goes into compost. Okay, so we're gonna do that for both of our avocados. Let's get that pit out. And once that's done, we will mash them up with our seasonings. Okay, so now we have our avocados peeled in there, ready to be mashed up. We're going to cut a lime and squeeze that in there. That's gonna help with flavor and also for the browning effect so that it doesn't oxidize. It actually helps. The acids in lemon and limes do that. So we're gonna squeeze as much as we can out of there. And I'm gonna put a full lime in there to get that flavorful. Okay, let's just check on that chicken for a second. Let's put that on pause. And it looks like it's cooking up nicely. Let's give it a little turn. Yep, it's sauteing. So let's turn it so that we can get even cooking occurring here. And now we can go back to getting that guacamole done. Okay, so now we're gonna add a little bit of our garlic powder, or you can chop up a fresh garlic clove and put it in there. We're gonna do a little sprinkling of salt. I'm gonna put a little bit of these chilies. You could always put jalapeno pepper. You could put adobe pepper in there. It gives it a nice smoky flavor if you were to do that. And I'm gonna put a little bit of cumin. Little sprinkling of cumin, and then of course you could add also diced tomatoes to it and cilantro if you like cilantro. So I'm gonna mash that up with a fork, and then I'm gonna refrigerate it to let the flavors blend. Okay, that is looking really good. I think it's mixed and mashed up enough. And it's ready. So at this point, I would taste it and see if there's anything else that you want to add to it. So because it's on my fork, I'm just gonna taste it from here. That tastes really good. So now I'm gonna refrigerate it and move on to getting our peppers and onions done next. And for that, we want to make sure and wash our peppers. And while I'm at it, I'll wash my tomato because I will be chopping that up later. Give that a nice little wash. And let's get these cut up. So I'm going to cut it first in half, being careful with our fingers. And when you cut it in half, you seed it, take out that little centerpiece and the stem. And then do the same to this one and all of them. And then when I cut my pepper, I always cut it from the inside. I find it easier, and you want to cut strips that are about 1.5 to 2 inches long. If you want to cut it on the skin side, I recommend a serrated knife, just because the skin is a little bit tougher on the outside, and the serrated knife makes it easier. As I mentioned when I made fajitas, the serrated knife is used for a tough exterior with a soft interior, such as bread and tomatoes. So let's get these 3 peppers sliced up, and then I'm going to show you how to do the onion. Alrighty, so now we have our pepper all cut up, and we're gonna get our onion cut up. So I take the ends off carefully, keeping your fingers away and safe. Other end. And then all that fibrous, tougher outer layer has to come off. So we're peeling that off. That's gonna all go into our compost bin. And then that will help fertilize our future veggies. And once we have that peeled, we're ready to slice it up. Now, because the onion is round, of course, we want to make it safe. When it's round, it's unstable, and it can create problems if we're not careful. So I'm gonna cut it in half first, and then flat side down to make that safe to cut. And because I want the longer strips for this, I'm gonna leave it as is. I'm not gonna chop it up. So again, we're looking at about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, keeping fingers away. Once it comes to that bottom little stumpy area, I bring it back onto that flat side to stabilize it more. And then again, keeping fingers away and slicing it just like that. And now we are ready to bring it over to create our quesadillas, bringing it all together. Okay, so let's bring these over so that we can saute them and get them ready. So when we combine everything, let's take a look at our chicken and see how it's doing. Give it a little bit of a mix. It's looking really good. I have quite a bit of water there underneath that I really want to get rid of, but it also has the flavors in there. So I'm just gonna let that cook some more, and it's going to actually dry up. It's going to evaporate that water, and then the flavor will still be there. So that's looking good. Let's get this pan ready. I'm doing it in a separate pan because some of these are going to be vegetarian, so I don't want them mixing in with the chicken until I actually make the whole quesadilla. I want to saute the onion first. I want to get the onion sweetened up, and I want to cook it a little bit longer than my pepper, because I want my pepper to have a little bit of crispness in it, but I don't want that for the onion. So I'm gonna do the onion first. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, a little bit of garlic pepper, flavor it up a little bit so you can see I'm just giving it a little shake. Again, about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon, a little bit of garlic to flavor it up, and then a little bit of pepper. Okay, and give it a toss. And we're gonna let this turn a golden color before I add my peppers. So we just gotta wait. Okay, let's take a look and see how our onions are doing. Oh, they're starting to get golden, but they are not quite ready. I can still feel that they are crisp. Let's take a look and see how our chicken is doing. I think it's doing wonderfully. Probably another 5 minutes, and we should be able to add those peppers. So let's get our tomato diced up if you're going to be adding tomatoes to it. And then this little corn medley, we're adding it into the vegetarian one. So I'm gonna open that up as well. So for that tomato, we wanna, again, stabilize it so we get it down on that flat edge. I give it a few little cuts one way and then the other way so that it is diced, moving my fingers back in that claw method, and I always move my fingers back away from that last little slice, just like that. And those are going to go into our little serving dish for whoever would like tomatoes, just like that. And in the meantime, while everything is cooking, you can get your condiments ready. So we have our sour cream, we've got our salsa, and then if you have cilantro, you can add cilantro. Everything is looking really good. I'm gonna add a little bit more oil, just a little sprinkle, to add our peppers. And we're gonna get those sauteed for about 5 minutes. And after those are sauteed for about 5 minutes, we're gonna combine everything into our quesadilla. So there's gonna be veggie ones and there's gonna be chicken ones. Alrighty, this looks great, delicious. Now that it's cooked, I would give it a try. See if there's anything you wanna add to it. If you wanna add a little salt or more chili or anything, now's your time to do that. That looks good. And let's take a look at our veggies. These are looking great. They are ready to go. I'm gonna turn everything off, and now we're gonna combine everything into our quesadilla. So I'm just gonna try and cut one open, and just to show you, it's white inside. There's no pink whatsoever, and I did try one. So these are ready to combine into our quesadillas. That's a way to tell if they are ready. Okay, so for for creating those quesadillas now, you want another saute pan, frying pan, and we're gonna put a little dash, not a lot, a little bit of oil. Let's get our pastry brush out. Just a little smidge of oil, and I'm just going to make sure that the whole pan has just a little bit of oil. Okay, and we're going to turn that up. And I have it on high just for a minute to heat the pan up. I'm going to add my shell, and I'm just going to reduce it down a bit. All right, now we need our cheese, we need our peppers, and we need our chicken if you're using chicken. I'm going to add about a handful of cheese to it, on half of that, just like that. I'm going to add some of the peppers and some of the onions, just like that. A little bit more. And then I'm going to add some of the chicken. Just like that. Now, depending on how much cheese you'd like, you could add a little bit more, just like that. And now I'm just going to take that edge and bring it over. Now that's quite packed. If you don't want it that thick, that packed, obviously don't put as many ingredients. We're going to let that get golden, and we'll be right back. Take a look and see. Oh, it's got such a beautiful golden color. We're gonna turn that around. We're gonna flip it. Just be careful when you're flipping it. Like that. Look at that beautiful color. Now we want the same color on the other side. So we're gonna leave it for a few minutes. Okay, let's take a look underneath and see. Oh, beautiful golden color. That is ready. And the cheese is all melted. So I'm gonna take that flip it onto our plate, and I'm gonna let it cool down for a minute. I don't want to touch it, and I'm gonna cut it into its triangles. Next, I'm gonna work on a vegetarian one. So for the vegetarian one, I'm gonna put that there just like I did with the other one, but there's enough oil there, I don't need to put more. I'm gonna put a little bit of the peppers and onion mixture. And you could have put the cheese on first as well so that it melts. It's up to you. I'm gonna put a little bit of this corn mixture into it. And we'll see how that tastes today. I think it's gonna add a nice crunchy sweetness to it. And I think it's gonna be this nice little explosion of flavor in the mouth. So there's about a handful of cheese. And I'm going to put my quesadilla flipped over, try and get it on as equal as possible. There we go. And we're gonna let that cook for a few minutes now. Okay, let's check and see now how it's doing. Nice golden color, ready to flip. Oh, beautiful. That's exactly the color that we want. Let's leave that for another couple of minutes. All right, so we've got our quesadillas done. Just going to cut this up, and just be careful. Keep your fingers clear of that knife. Oh, just wonderful. Listen to how nice and crispy that is. Perfect golden color. Let's take a look and see what it looks like on the inside. Beautiful. So we have all our condiments ready. Today, you've learned about thawing chicken out properly, safely. You had a little bit of those skills with the knives, working with knives today, making that quick and easy guacamole, and of course a vegetarian style and our poultry chicken style quesadilla. I really hope that you enjoyed today with Concettinas Cucina. Thank you so much for joining me, and enjoy.